What do you think of perhaps his simplest invention?
The leg puller? Well, I think the leg puller probably was the antecedent of the idea of the random excuse generator.
You know, there are mysteries in the science of the 1940s we still don't understand. He was on very good terms with Einstein. Einstein signs the letter Bert.
How important is it to have an Institute of Backyard Studies?
Oh, I think it's critical. I think when you're looking at what history we have here in invention, we should be celebrating this. And this is why I think this exhibition is so important. So our young kids can be inspired by things like the random excuse generator, the leg pull, the long wait, and the various coloured paints, of course, the polka dot paints.
It's really interesting as a person interested in history. This Henry Hoke's Quack of Doom.
Mark, could you explain a couple of things about this?
Certainly, Brian.
The random excuse generator?
The grammar being gasified there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I first came across Henry Hoke at a garage sale. I found a number of rather mystifying tools. They were giggle pins and chuckle valves in a couple of old boxes, and I'd never heard of these things. And it said these things were made by Hoke's Tool Company in Hoke's Bluff, apparently in South Australia.
And he made leg pullers too, I believe.
Oh, leg pulls. He was probably the inventor of the manual chainsaw too, which later got overtaken by the clockwork chainsaw, as it turned out. But there's others that have got fantastic stories behind them, like the clockwork car. I mean, all we've found of Henry's famous, incredibly fast clockwork car, well, it went very fast for a while and then would slow down, but it is the giant wind-up key. And that key was all that was left of the great explosion that happened when the mainspring broke.
And we see the learning curve as well. He invented the learning curve, didn't he?
The learning curve, yeah, and a thing that's become an expression in the English language. Probably originated right here in South Australia. It was part of what he called his sceptical apparatus.
So it's a steep learning curve too,
It's
isn't it?
very steep, and funny enough, it hits your knee. Right, that's where it ends. And I think it was really something he just left around the workshop to remind him not to leave things on the ground.
And tell us about the barbed wire watering can.
Well, the barbed wire watering can was an early water conservation device, along with its waterproof taps. And of course, the Hoke family was well known for their dehydrated water pills, which was the basis of their modest fortune that they accumulated in Hoke's Bluff. But yeah, water conservation, he was, almost half a century ahead of his time. I mean, there are many, many lessons to be learned from Henry these days.
What's your favourite?
The random excuse generator. I can't get past that really. I mean, well, I know for a fact in the last state election that the building where it was housed was broken into, and there were people whose names we won't mention that at the time needed a random excuse generator in very large doses. So. Yes, I think he's just going to have to be careful with it. I'd have an SAS unit coming up to the election, surrounding it.